Cassie Hawthorne from sunny California, and I listen to STMK Radio 100. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on Facebook Live.
STMK Radio 100, the podcasting station that brings you the Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 radio talk show that keeps it real, no sugar. STMK Radio 100 also presents At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller Show. Check out Brother Bill's Bible Study radio broadcast here on STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central. STMK Radio 100 does USTREAM Live TV, FaceTime, phone interviews, chat rooms, the new emerging artist show, sports talk, dance music shows, book reading shows, and much more coming very soon right here on STMK Radio 100. Contact us. Visit our website at stmkradio100.com or email us directly at stmkradio100@aol.com. Give us a call at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Call us now, STMK Radio 100.
At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Check out Reverend Bill Miller's Bible Study radio broadcast live on the new STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please listen in and support him as he joins the realm of broadcasting to encourage believers and offer the comfort of God to others across the airwaves. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Also, feel free to contact him for prayer, counseling, and conversation at brobill9608@yahoo.com. That's BROBILL9608@yahoo.com. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100.
He's brought us to the brink of nuclear war, obstructed justice at the FBI, and in direct violation of the Constitution, he's taken money from foreign governments and threatened to shut down news organizations that report the truth. If that isn't a case for impeaching and removing a dangerous president, then what has our government become? I'm Tom Steyer, and like you, I'm a citizen who knows it's up to us to do something. It's why I'm funding this effort to raise our voices together and demand that elected officials take a stand on impeachment. A Republican Congress once impeached a president for far less. Yet today, people in Congress and his own administration know that this president is a clear and present danger, who's mentally unstable and armed with nuclear weapons, and they do nothing. Join us and tell your member of Congress that they have a moral responsibility to stop doing what's political and start doing what's right. Our country depends on it.
Tell you something, we gotta stop the violence, we gotta vote. Stop the violence and vote.
Women like me aren't supposed to run for office. I wasn't born to a wealthy or powerful family. Mother from Puerto Rico, dad from the South Bronx. I was born in a place where your zip code determines your destiny. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm an educator, an organizer, a working-class New Yorker. I've worked with expectant mothers, I've waited tables and led classrooms. And going into politics wasn't in the plan. But after 20 years of the same representation, we have to ask, who has New York been changing for? Every day gets harder for working families like mine to get by. The rent gets higher, healthcare covers less, and our income stays the same. It's clear that these changes haven't been for us, and we deserve a champion. It's time to fight for a New York that working families can afford. That's why I'm running for Congress. This race is about people versus money. We've got people, they've got money. It's time we acknowledge that not all Democrats are the same. That a Democrat who takes corporate money, profits off foreclosure, doesn't live here, doesn't send his kids to our schools, doesn't drink our water or breathe our air, cannot possibly represent us. What the Bronx and Queens needs is Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, a federal jobs guarantee, and criminal justice reform, we can do it now. It doesn't take 100 years to do this. It takes political courage. A New York for the many is possible. It's time for one of us. Vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
You know I'm from the best talk show on the air. Stop the Madness, keep it 100. Now, catch them Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. on the all-new STMK Radio 100. It's the Sax Man Show. Come join the law enforcement extraordinaire, the Sax Man.
This is Christina in Savannah. I listen to STMK Radio 100 on my way home from work. Every Thursday, they keep it 100.
You're listening to STMK Radio 100.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Yes, this is a PSA, a public street announcement. You are now listening to a kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
We've had tremendous support, but where we have had the best support, in all fairness, is the small donor. The $61, I think it averages something like $61. We've had tremendous success with the small donor, $61 a head. We have a lot of small donors, $61 I think average.
We also have a lot of wonderful people in terms of small donations, and that's coming in fantastically.
The Trump family has billions of dollars, but they were not offering to spend their own money. They chose instead to offer a questionable job using the money of thousands of his supporters. You do the math, $180,000 divided by 61.
sounds a little like, obviously, that there's something you got in the back pocket to pull out. Clearly, if you come on board the campaign, like, we can't have it. We gotta keep everything.
God, no.
Everybody's positive, right?
Everything positive. So to summarize, Lara Trump offers Omarosa $180,000 of other people's money, small donors, in what appears to be an effort to keep Omarosa quiet.
Come to my attention over the last few months that there's been some pretty, in my opinion, significant integrity issues related to you and use of government vehicles and some other issues.
That's serious. That's lying and cheating and using taxpayer money. It seems pretty clear the Trump family was willing, it appears, to pay off Omarosa for her silence as long as other people, small Trump donors, $61 apiece on average, paid for it.
There are things that I write about, and then there are things that I'm going to save to share when the time is right. If I need to, I'll do what I have to do to protect myself. Well, we'll see. He's threatening to get me arrested. He's trying to intimidate my publisher and trying to intimidate me.
Explaining that White House staff preps the president to lie. She said she expects a counterattack from the White House.
He was being prepped by Hope Hicks and the comms team to say that the DOJ had come up with this memo so that they could justify the firing of Comey.
He should be honest about what he did during the campaign and what he continued to do in the White House. You were instructed, according to your book, to bring up the emails at every point you could at the end of the 2016 campaign. Correct. Hillary Clinton's email. Yes, that was our talker. Did Donald Trump know about those emails before they came out? Absolutely. He knew about them? Yes. He knew what was coming out before WikiLeaks released them? You're saying Donald Trump had a back channel? I will say that I am going to expose the corruption that went on in the campaign and in the White House. I'm going to continue to blow the whistle on all of that.
It's easy, a 5-letter word. It's called power. It's about power.
A master manipulator and a con artist.
You know what? You want to sue us? Bring it.
Donald Trump has met his match.
Hey, good evening and welcome. Stop the Madness, Keep It 100, Free for All Thursday. In the house in Studio 51, we got Sax Man. What's up, Sax Man?
What's up, Sean? How you feeling today?
Oh, man, we got another great Thursday coming. Tone the Stone, the Diamond Boy, is out with us also.
I can't hear y'all. Is my mic on?
Yeah, your mic on. Just go ahead and talk, and we'll see what about your ears.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Sean, Sax, Jay? What up? What up, all the listeners out there? Stop the Madness. Welcome back. Thank you.
Hey, right there, we got Jay Mack from the shop is in the house with us.
Trying to get my mic on.
Yeah, your
like
mic on.
Pal.
Hey, all y'all step up. You know, we just heard Omarosa and them talking, but so much is going on, Sax, man. I mean, this week, we don't even know where to start the show at. First, we was going to start with Omarosa and her book and what she was talking about Trump.
Right.
Now we looking at Manafort. He's been convicted of 8 charges. Sean, before we get into that, can I say one thing? We were supposed to have a special guest on there tonight. Well, a recurring guest, a return guest, but her family suffered a tragedy this past weekend. So I want to send our condolences out to her and her family and say God bless the young lady that lost her life.
Oh, that's right, Mrs. Summers. Yeah, we want to send our condolences out to her for that. Hey, and that's why we're going to do a little change up. But you know, Sax, man, as I was saying, there was so much going on with Trump this week. You got his fixer got fixed. He's going to jail, and he gave up the president. Yeah. Remember, the president said he'd never turn on him.
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani was out telling the people the truth ain't the truth. Now you got the CEO of the Inquirer gave up the president and said that the president had a safe with them for hush money, and his job was to go out and buy stories, and that must have been lucrative. We got to remember that, Sax, man. Buying stories from people and then killing is called catch and kill.
Sound like a day in life of STMK Radio.
Hey, man, this is so unbelievable what's going on. And then you have one juror who claims to be a Trumpster, who, and this is strange, she convicted Manafort of 8 felony charges, but she held out for the other 10. Now that's really wild.
Okay.
So Trump says this is a witch hunt. So we're gonna hit this right here before we go into our second thing tonight. Let's get this out of the way.
Man, why do you think it's surprising? You say it's like surprising.
It is surprising. We are in a whole new territory. For the first time in the history of the United States, we have a sitting president that has been named as an unindicted co-conspirator in 2 felonies.
I said this on the show before.
But, I mean,
yes, you did.
Why
yes,
you
you
surprised?
Did.
You know what?
The
I
minute,
know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Jake.
No, I'm
the
sorry.
Minute
go ahead.
the minute that either anybody in his campaign got convicted of a felony, his presidency should have became null and void.
You've said it.
Second.
You've said it a lot.
And we get ready to go into a constitutional crisis, and
that's why I don't think he's going to be like impeached.
Right, because the Republicans are already trying to give him cover. Like today, they was talking about when he attacked Jeff Sessions, and Jeff Sessions came back and attacked at him. Okay, the problem is this: he knows that the next indictment is coming down. It's going to be family members and people close to him, and he knows that they can't touch him, but they are going to go up the ladder. And Mueller has shown he is a master investigator. And I want to say this because Trump says that this is a witch hunt, Saxman.
I've heard it.
Okay, so I want everybody to understand this, and I'm going to break it down for you. So all you Trumpsters in the chat room, hey, Facebook Live, YouTube, welcome.
Don't get mad at us now.
No, y'all can go ahead and get mad because we're going to have this conversation. We got some lawyers in the chat room, and we got some law enforcement officers, and they talking about East Cleveland because we're going to go back in there later on about East Cleveland. But we got Trump's been in office 18 months, Tony Stone, 18 months. Okay, out of the 18 months, let's go back to this. Benghazi, they investigated Benghazi for 3,895 days, which resulted in $1.7 billion spent for the investigation.
Right, how many days? Almost 10 years?
No, almost about 5-6 years.
3,000 some days?
Right, 3,000 some days. So you could say maybe 6 years. Okay. That resulted in no criminal charges or investigation at all. And Hillary Clinton went and sit before the House for 12 hours and got drilled, okay, and handled that, okay. Then you got the Contra thing with the land deal with Bill Clinton, 2,995 days, resulted in no criminal charges. But they did impeach the president for a consensual sexual affair. And that's not what they was investigating. Everybody remember that. That's not what they was investigating when they got Bill Clinton.
Just like Al Capone. They couldn't get him on anything else, so they got him on income tax.
Now, when you come here to Mueller, we're going to talk about Mueller case.
Couldn't get him on murder and nothing else. They could get him on something sorry as a damn blowjob.
Yeah. So we're going to break this.
You're going to pay your taxes.
Right.
The government going to holler at you if you don't pay your taxes.
And Saxman, you know what, Saxman? Since our guests ain't here, you know, that blowjob was very expensive.
It was expensive.
For Bill Clinton.
Yes, it was.
Not expensive as Trump, but, you know, Bill.
He probably made more money off the books and talking engagements after the presidency, so it wasn't that expensive.
But it cost Hillary. But it cost Hillary the presidency.
It sure did because they blamed Benghazi on her.
Right. So you look at So you look at this because we're gonna get with Trump because this is where I'm gonna come down to Trump. Okay, with Trump. Trump been in office 18 months now. The investigation been going on for 18 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
He came into office.
So remember when he told everybody in the debate that if Hillary Clinton became president, there'd be so many investigations that she couldn't do her job, and she'd be charges flying, and people would be going to jail. Lock her up.
Yep.
Okay.
Prophesized.
Well, yes, he did, because words have meaning, and it came back to bite him. And check this out. 8 people has been charged. Americans has been charged here in the United States. He got 1 conviction. That means 1 person has been before their peers in a court and got convicted. That was Paul Manafort this Wednesday. Okay. Now look at this. Even the jury had 2 Trumpsters on it. Those Trumpsters said that the evidence was so convincing, they convicted him of 8 charges, 8 felonies. That's how they said this. He just
Well,
stole.
God bless them for being honest people, at least in that sense.
Okay. So when you look at this,
you know,
then you got
silver lining.
You got 6 felony plea guilty, 6 of them. We're gonna break it down later. You got 13 Russian nationals charged. You got 3 Russian companies being sanctioned and charged. You got a Russian army officer charged, and you got 12 Russian intel officers charged. Okay.
You know what?
That's just the Russian investigation.
It sounds good, but you know what? I've been hearing since what he got. It's been about 18 months.
Right.
Like you said, he's been getting. They're about to impeach him for 18 months.
They're not going to impeach him because
that's what I'm
Trump,
saying.
Right.
He's
Trump
still in
carries their
office.
agenda.
Right, but see,
Trump carries their agenda.
Come on now, come on, give me some peace on that.
But I'm gonna give you that. But let me say,
So I've been hearing it.
Right.
So like until it's done, I don't want to.
But let me tell you this. Let me tell you why impeachment ain't
He's
come.
done this. He's done this.
No, let me tell you why impeachment is not going to come.
It's a double standard. I'll let you explain it in just a second, but it's a double standard because it's a Republican majority.
Right.
Come on now.
But look, like he said, Bill Clinton got impeached for having oral sex or having an extramarital affair or whatever. This man got 2 criminal trials going on associated at the same time going on associated with his presidency.
Two different agendas.
but let me explain that.
Exactly.
Two different agendas.
You know what? I used to argue with my mother. She used to tell me every morning, Trump. I get like my stop.
But
Stop. You know what I'm saying? I don't
impeachment.
wanna hear about
But
that.
Jay, an impeachment can come because you have to remember something right here.
Until it happens,
Wait a minute.
you know, it can't. Yes, it can.
But you have to go. You have to go
But I'm
back.
saying,
You have
but
to go
until
back
it
in history. Wait a minute,
happens,
but you
though.
have to go back in history. Everything on this earth and everything comes for a reason. See, you have to go biblical for a second. When Nixon,
I'm always trust me. I'm
Right,
always at
right.
the bottom line.
so when Nixon had his problems, Nixon was under a Republican-controlled House and Senate also. Okay, but it wasn't until they concrete showed that Nixon broke the law that the Republicans turned against him. So now you look at this. Trump is in the same situation. Trump has a Republican Congress that is trying to take over the court.
That's right.
And he has a Republican Senate. And their goal is to take over command of the court. And they know that they have to protect Trump at all costs. So what's going to happen here, Jay, when you talk about impeachment, the people of America is going to have to stand up, come out November the 6th, and vote and take back the House and the Senate.
But there's too many Trumpsters.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that. You know why? You know why? You know why,
I
Sex
mean,
Man?
that's true. I agree with
No,
that.
no, it's not because you know why? Y'all looking at 30% of 100%. Only 30% of the people are Republicans. Okay, so you looking at independents.
But you got Democrats
I mean, you know what? You know, you're looking at all the numbers and everything.
But you
look
look
at
at
the facts.
Democrats. You had some Democrats that voted
wait a
Republican.
minute, but I'm looking at that, and you have to look at 47% of the people did not vote last election. Everybody keep forgetting that.
That's true.
47% that said at
So
home.
that means
It all sounds
so
good.
out of
I'm just saying.
53% that did vote, 30% are Republicans, so they will have a majority.
They were
Well, then, yes, but then you have to realize that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote.
Yeah.
He won the
overall
thing of the electoral college. Okay, and you have to understand.
And they want to change that. You heard? Remember
Right,
they said they wanted to
right,
change
but
that
you have to
electoral-
understand the states that he won in the electoral college. Not only did they do cross-check, take a lot of voters off, okay, but a lot of independents and a lot of people voted third party because of Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Okay, so when you look at all the factors that came in, see, a lot of people's mad because of what Hillary and the DNC did to Bernie. Okay, so in Wisconsin, Michigan, they said they went the other way. Okay, they caused this problem. Okay, I'm just going to say it the way it is. When you look at it, Trump is in office because they wanted this to burn. Okay, and the Lord does. And I'm gonna say this. And I'm not going into the Bible and stuff, but the Lord, the Lord does things for a reason. This don't nothing just happen for it happens. It happens
I believe
for a reason.
that 100%.
It's all by design. I said
I don't know what. I don't know
all
what.
by design.
I don't understand what he's doing, 'Cause I'm a human.
Trump
Well,
is
he
doing,
is the Lord.
Listen.
But I don't understand.
I understand exactly
I
what he's
believe what
doing.
you're saying.
I'm gonna tell you what's going
No,
on.
I can't.
I'm gonna tell you what's going on.
I ain't gonna
Check
never
this
be
out.
that arrogant and say I don't understand what the Lord's doing.
No, not what the Lord. I'm telling you what Trump doing. And
Yeah,
what
exactly.
and,
Okay.
and what
I'm
the
talking-
Trump people, what the
talking about-
Trumpsters want.
Talking to Sean.
Before he, I'm not going to say he's not going to get or ever get impeached. He's not going to get impeached until after he complete their bidding.
Exactly.
Well, and he's not
that's what I
completed
feel
yet
100%.
because
Well, let me
we
say
don't
this.
have all of the
Let me say this,
the House
man.
yet. We don't have the
November 6th. November 6th. Come November 6th, the people going to have to come out and vote.
But still, he
if
hasn't
they come out,
completed
no,
everything
wait,
yet.
but
He
if,
still got work to do
but
for them.
if the people come out November 6th and take back the House and the Senate, they can stop this madness from taking place. It's on us.
I don't know. I think it's going to happen after we get the Supreme.
Well,
when he lay up everybody in the Supreme Court the way they want it,
well, it's
then
too,
that's what's going to
They
happen.
don't really
That's what
need
they
him
want.
there because if he gets impeached, Pence
Pence
going
there-
to take his place?
Right.
So they don't need
They
Trump
got-
in
they-
office
right,
for that.
They got to say. But see, this is the problem right here.
Think about it.
They
I guess it'll
need
get
Trump.
better if they impeach him. Right. It's gonna be the same thing. I thought about
But
that too.
but it ain't gonna be. See, the difference with Pence is he's gonna do it the right way.
Yeah.
He's not going to
That's why
cause.
he's
all-
quiet.
all
It's
the
not going to
crazy.
be a scandal plague.
Right.
There you
because
go.
It's still going to be.
They
It's
need,
still gonna
they
happen.
need Trump.
That, honestly,
They need
Yeah.
Trump. They need Trump
See-
for
see-
the controversy.
wait,
The president is a puppet.
Wait,
and
wait,
he's
They
right.
need him for that. They
Wait,
need him
right.
for that.
See, what's
That's
happening
what I'm
here?
saying.
What,
It's
what,
over
what
with.
happened here? What y'all fail to realize is, as Saxman said, Trump is the one running the circus, and they want Trump to do all
They
this.
need him to
So
do
while
that.
you looking at Trump, they back over here dismantling the whole
Yeah,
system.
exactly.
And the only way they can stop, the only way you can stop the system from being dismantled is that the executive branches all have co-equal power. So if you take back the House and the Senate, you can neuter the presidency. You can stop
Right.
the madness, okay, until 2020, and then you can take back. But if you look at this, I want to go back into this because everybody don't understand this, especially for the people in this chat room with the Trumpsters. Paul Manafort, okay.
You said Trumpsters.
I miss Mariah Crenshaw.
He got convicted for financial crime, tax and bank fraud, false statements being made, and unregistered agent, foreign agent, and obstruction of justice. Also, you have to understand, Mueller's not done indicting people yet. There's a big indictment coming back down. Now, it may come before September. It may come after the election. Nobody knows, okay? But we do know this one. The next indictment will be Americans for conspiracy to commit fraud and treason against the United States government, okay? So those charges right there carry a death penalty sentence.
Do you think
I
they
do
gonna
know
use-
that, but come on now. If they were really serious, he would have been.
Do you
at
think
least
they're
put
going to
up on
use
charges.
Omarosa's book?
Well,
I'm not gonna say
he can't. You can't do a sitting president. So Trump, see the way the rules are. Trump can only be impeached. Now, what can happen is Trump has pardon power. So what Mueller doing right now?
He can pardon himself.
Mueller's you know what? Technically he can't, but technically he can. We're in a situation where we don't know what could happen. But if you look at this, Mueller's in the process of probably trying to put people under state charges because the president cannot pardon somebody on state charges.
Only federal.
Okay, only federal.
Exactly.
So,
he can't? Okay.
right.
I mean, I
so,
did know
so
that about
and,
him.
and the
Okay,
president
that's
can
that.
be indicted by a state. He just can't be arrested. Okay, he can be indicted. The indictment to sit there, and then when he get out of office, he got to come and answer to those charges. So there is a way to stop them from just all walking away free.
Yeah, by reading Omarosa's book.
And then wait a minute, Omarosa told you some stuff
See,
that was true.
It's in there, man.
I
It's in
really
there.
ain't touched in.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
It's in there.
She's like a.
You read the book, Sean?
Yeah, I did an ebook on it.
It's in there,
And I'm gonna say something about Omarosa's book. I'm gonna tell you something about Spicer's book. Spicer and them took money, so they wrote a CAD book. They kissed Donald Trump's feet. Omarosa didn't take the money, and she wrote a Fire and Fury book. Okay, the difference between Omarosa's book and everybody else's book, Omarosa's telling you what's going on, and then she is playing Trump's game against Trump. What she's doing with Trump is she's saying Trump knew about the emails before they was put out, or the staff talked about Trump using the N-word, calling people niggers. So what did Trump do? Trump went and got all his black females and all the black women, put them on the news and had them all saying, "Oh, Trump never called nobody a nigger. Omarosa wrong. She writing a book. We never talked about this." And then what Omarosa do? She let them have the news wait for the night.
Right.
Then tomorrow morning, she went on the first talk show in the morning and dropped the tape on him.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, did she play the tape of him using the N-word?
No.
Okay.
I've
heard the other tape.
Right, of the staff.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, she's playing Trump's game.
Yeah.
She's taking right now.
They are playing games with all of us. Until if the tape exists, it should be out by now.
But it ain't coming out, Tony. See,
it should be out by now.
The problem is this, Tony.
That's what Tone said last week.
You said that last week.
Yeah, they playing games with all of us.
Right.
Because all of them making money off of this.
Right,
The only
but,
people who is
it's the poor American people.
Yeah.
And
so they playing
and the
games
people
with
who
everybody.
really hurt.
Tone want his piece of the pie, right, Tone?
And the people who's really hurting more, but Saxman, the people who really hurting more are the people who really need the help
Right.
that voted for Trump because they've been hurt more than any other people have.
People
Okay,
that trusted him and
okay,
trusted everything he
and
said.
everything. So if you have to look at this, Tone, when the con man sold everybody the snake oil, he brought the wagon woman with him, and the wagon woman putting it on him, and she gonna play him.
He come up, boy, Sean got some analogies, man.
She gonna play him. You understand? All the way down.
He come up with some good analogies.
You look at the fixer. They said the fixer would never turn on Trump. Okay.
Who, Cohen?
Cohen. And what he do? Not only did he turn on Trump, he did something under oath that nobody else has done. He said at the direction of the President of the United States, he committed felonies. Now, if he's guilty of campaign fraud, 2 charges for paying Stormy Daniels and the other Playboy bunny, okay, and Trump paid $130,000 for a piece of ass, so he got robbed. He really got robbed.
Now this is how it sounds to me.
If you got it like that, I can't even say that though.
130,000.
Oh, he got robbed.
Yeah, it's pocket change for him. But
God damn, for a piece of ass.
I mean, you know
come on,
what?
you seen Indecent Proposal, man. These,
exactly.
if you got it,
No,
man, these guys is
but you know, my problem is this.
But you know,
it might be all the money in the world to you.
You sit there
It's a drop in the bucket to them.
But you know what, Tone? I'm gonna have to.
That's real.
I'm gonna have to say this. Trump is a cad and a dirty, worthless dog. What they say about him, he got a fine wife at home pregnant. Fine. I might say my wife gets married. Fine wife at home.
You said you put a little too much emphasis on that fine, man.
Pregnant. Now the Playboy bunny, she pretty good looking girl. I can see her replacing Melania.
Well, he's a sleazeball. It don't matter how beautiful. He's a sleazeball.
Yeah, well, we know he's a sleazeball if he having sex with a porn star without a rubber.
Yeah. So it don't matter how beautiful, how good, even how good a woman his wife is. She could be the best woman in the world. He's a scumbag.
And, you know, that was the cleanest one.
He's a scumbag.
John, what you know about
that?
Never.
But John,
nothing.
You know this, John.
No.
Wait a minute, but
Porn
John.
artists go through a lot of testing and all type of stuff. They
the
got
ones in Vegas. The ones in Vegas.
But you know what? If you look at this, John, he called Omarosa a low down, dirty, scandalous, stinking dog.
Yeah.
He called.
Do you disagree with him?
No, I don't, because you know why? When you're in bed with snakes, and snakes eat each other, they get what they get.
It's funny that you said that. You know what the real question here is?
What, snakes eat each other?
Did he sleep with Omarosa, and how much did he pay her?
Wait a minute. I heard it. Wait a minute. No, I'm not gonna say they slept together.
I know they slept
but I heard an interview on the Black Eagle. Wait a minute. I heard the interview on the Black Eagle, the Joe Madison show he did with her Monday, I think it was. He asked her if Trump hit on her, and she said yes. She didn't say they had any engagement, but she said yes. But you know one thing.
Of course he doing it.
Trump looking at Omarosa,
right,
and you know he had to get a piece of that chocolate.
Looking at big old booty and big old the perky dude.
I ain't gonna say. I can't say I
he
know
gonna
that.
get some of that ass.
You know.
I mean, of course, we men.
Think about it. You gonna put her
that
on
ain't
your
a man.
campaign?
Trump a dog.
No.
Trump is the head atomic dog. I don't know why it's like that, but I just got chased the cat.
Think that.
Okay.
Exactly. Because think about it.
You know what?
You got it on your campaign.
I'm not
on your
perfect.
trail, man.
I'm not
You know
perfect.
you're gonna hit that ass.
I'm a man of God, but I'm not. I'm not
You got
perfect.
it on your campaign.
I mean,
I mean,
would look nice to
you. Gonna hit that ass.
Sex man.
You know it.
But you know one thing, I'm gonna say this. You know what I'm gonna say?
I mean, you know what? I mean, I'm not. I mean, it's very highable. It's very. Yeah, I'm not. I'm
Listen,
not sure.
I saw her downtown.
I didn't
when
see
I
him
was
hit
working
her.
the DNC,
I
I
didn't
saw
see him
her.
hit her.
She walked past me. Man, I saw that ass. I was like, I know Trump hitting that motherfucker.
Hey,
Woo!
hey,
She walked past. I
hey,
was like,
John,
God damn.
John, but the only woman.
What was you doing at the Republican convention, man?
I was working.
He was out there protecting.
Okay, I forgot.
I was making $35 an hour. What you
Hey,
want me to do?
but John, hey, you know what the problem is with Sax Man though? But I'm gonna say this: of all the people that Trump attacked, he has not said anything
About
nasty.
Sax Man, that's right.
No, about you made me forget right there.
I got him.
About Stormy Daniels.
Cause
she got filmed.
He needs to come back to that.
I guarantee
you can't though. Why would you though?
No, listen.
Somebody got me by the balls.
He ain't gonna talk bad
and
about it.
the
Because he need to come back to that ass because if things go soft at home, he needs some pussy. So he
Thank you.
gonna come back to that pussy,
something
and
you
that's
gonna
the
get.
pussy he gonna come back to.
Come
that
on,
pussy,
Thank you.
that juicy, delicious pussy.
More than that pussy. More than pussy. Everything else that come with everything else.
With the pussy.
So, but you know,
you're a nasty old man.
And that's crazy.
And I'm gonna be one till my dead.
You know what? I already
You
know.
got your- right.
That's my brother. I ain't gonna be. It's
Hey, he was ready for the relationship hour that we didn't have.
I was
you could
waiting.
tell.
Yeah,
he
he
could
was
tell.
ready for the relationship hour.
I'm geared up for that relationship hour. I'm geared up.
He been excited. He's been excited since he woke up this morning.
Hell yeah, I had a hard on since this morning.
But you know, with that being said, let me say this right here. And
Yeah, you know what I think about that.
You know,
yeah, she ready.
Right.
In the mind. Yeah. That's my man though.
So Sax Man, but since you in such a hot seat, you got a hard on.
I got a hard on since this morning. It won't go down.
You know I want to go back here before we go right here. Rick Gates, you know Rick Gates is another one that turned on Trump.
Yeah.
And then Alex Vanderder, he's the only one to serve prison time already. He did his prison time and left. He's a Russian lawyer.
No wonder he's Russian.
How much time he got?
He got 6 months for lying to the FBI.
Is that all?
Yeah,
he ain't gonna do a whole 6 months.
No, he did his whole 6 months,
and
he left the country. He did his whole 6 months.
He got the hell out of Dodge before they stuck him on it.
So he
Gave him
got
another
6 months for what? Perjury?
Right, for perjury.
So what was the crime that he or what was
lying to the FBI?
Oh, so he wasn't already being in court facing charges for something. They questioned him.
They came to question him about the Russian investigation, and he lied to the FBI. Okay, you know it's a federal crime to lie to.
Yeah, but I'm saying he wasn't in court already when he lied.
No,
it was just
he was. They right.
Even if they took a deposition or whatever, if he lied on it.
Right. No, I get it. I was saying I thought he got the 6 months for perjury. But what about the charge?
Right.
But he wasn't. He hadn't been charged or anything. He was just being questioned.
Right. Now here go another guy that nobody knows too much about, and that's Richard Pendo.
No,
okay,
I don't know about him.
What was that?
That was the guy in California that was doing the computer work, and he lied to the FBI, and he got convicted on some online banking thing. He pled guilty. Then you got Michael Flynn, and then you got the guy that started all this, George Papadopoulos. He's the one that started everything.
I like that name. That's a tight name.
When he got drunk, when he got drunk and went to the ambassador of the Australia embassy and started mouthing off about the Russians trying to help Trump out. Okay, that's what started this whole thing. Okay, but when you look at all this going down, what's happening this week is so crazy. And I see us going into a constitutional crisis because I do see Trump trying to fire the special
prosecutor?
Right, the special prosecutor going all the way down. But when we was talking about that, Sax Man, I want to come back to this in the chat room because we're at the bottom of the hour. And I want to say this right here.
What's that, Ray Leon?
Excuse me.
This happened right here. You know, for the last 3 weeks, Tony Stone, we was talking about the city of East Cleveland.
KJ Jones is watching.
Yeah, that's good, KJ, on there.
Well, I'm glad he's watching. Yeah.
Okay,
What's
so
up, KJ?
when we talked about the city of East Cleveland the last 2 weeks, and we talked to Miss Crenshaw. She started the continuous professional training affidavit, and she filed an affidavit in Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court to have police officers arrested for not being properly certified and out there violating people's constitutional rights. Okay. Then we talked to Eric J. Jonathan Brewer.
Tom's boy.
Yeah, the weed man.
The weed man.
I love that when you told him
He
that.
probably
to
don't even smoke no
hey,
good weed. He
hey,
probably get
I
some
remember. Hey, you know what, Tone?
trash.
When we had him on the air, Tone, I really love that when Sax Man introduced him on the air that day, and we were talking to him, and you called him the weed man. You called him by surprise right there.
You see, he got on the defensive. He got on the defensive right away.
And I love that because you took him off his game, and he was ready for kryptonite like Superman, but you took him off his game. But Saxman, then we had the guy who pulled the petition to disband the East Cleveland Police Department, Justin Anderson. He was on the air with us. And in the chat room this week, I was on the panel Tuesday out of Columbus. I went on that Violent in Urban City panel. And all the conspiracy people started coming on, Sax Man. And you know the conspiracy. And they started talking about things being personal, about we're not getting the proper information. We shouldn't be doing this story. We helping to destroy a city and putting it under.
Well, that's because as far as conspiracy goes, everyone thinks it's geared towards an arrest that happened in the city of East Cleveland.
Or it's on your boy Eric Jonathan Brewer's.
Oh, they saying Brewer
personal.
it's being
the
personal
pictures?
against the police department
Right.
because of the pictures that was brought out during his campaign.
Perhaps it is. What I got to do with us? We just reporting the news.
And
who said it isn't?
Because
Who said it
we're
isn't?
reporting it. We're reporting it, but they're not giving us the complete truth.
Right. And
we only reporting what they telling us is not altogether true.
right. And also, Sax Man, we have to look at this also. Is that
it's not altogether true.
Is that also the other guy? They're now into personal assassinations.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it because there's some problems with the one young guy that they talked about, but we haven't verified that's him, so we're not gonna bring that on the air.
Right.
The second thing is, Sax Man, is that East Cleveland's a city of 17,619 people in the city.
That's all.
Now I'm gonna say this right here. This is what the reason East Cleveland is in the condition it's in, because out of 17,619 people.
Oh, 18. We just lost one.
Okay. And
sorry,
only 2,500 has been participating in their democracy voting. And the activists are there. I'm going to talk about them because all you need is 500 people to get a coalition together, and you can run the city government just by having 500 people, okay? Because if you look at this right now, the Mayor King has only been, Brandon King has only, no, not Brandon, what's his name?
Brandon
Okay,
King.
Brandon King only been in office, what, 6 months, 8 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got the hiccups, man?
Now that he's in office and he only been there 8 months, he's gonna get the mullet like Trump, okay? Because he can't be responsible for everything that's going on. He's trying to learn the thing. And then everybody's going back saying, "Well, we told you what the activists were going to do." Okay, they was going to come
Eric
out.
said it. Eric said it. Mayors don't know anything about being mayor. They learning as they go along. He
Well-
said he have it in.
Well, and this is the problem that I have, Saxman, is that not only he's trying to learn in the mayor's thing, but he's taking on other responsibilities such as the safety director.
How old is he?
He's got to be about 35, 40.
Yeah, he's
probably no more than that. I wouldn't give him no more than that, 40 at the most.
And then when you look at this, when he's taking on other responsibilities such as the safety director, he got to hire a law director. Okay, he doesn't know their responsibilities and their duties. And with this going on, and nobody in East Cleveland to know actually what's happening, this is why East Cleveland having the problems they have.
Should mayors be able to qualify themselves with these positions before they even apply for them, like safety director?
Well, they should. You know, you know what? The East Cleveland.
I mean, is Trump qualified to be president?
Right. See, this is the problem. This is the problem that you have.
Right. Yeah.
This is the problem you have, Saxon. And I'm gonna say this: when you are the chief executive and you able to do double duty, okay. Instead of hiring a safety director, they ain't paying you no money. You're gonna take that $40,000 salary.
Sax, all you
go ahead.
All you need to do to be a politician to get elected to the office is be a good salesman.
Or
You don't
good-
gotta be qualified.
good liar.
If you can sell yourself to the people, you can get elected mayor. You can get elected president. You just gotta sell yourself.
But then after you sell yourself and you in there, now what?
Then-
you don't
Then
know
what?
shit.
Then
you don't know.
Then you don't know what you're doing.
You
But
don't
that,
know what you're
but
doing.
that,
Now what?
but that wasn't your concern.
Listen, I heard today on the news. They're talking about is how is this going to affect Trump's political. I'm like, he's still going to be president. So what? No matter how people like him or go against him, he's still the president.
In his book, he
And you-
won.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
Right.
cannot stop that.
But
and he's the best.
Right.
And he's the best ever.
I'm telling y'all,
People were like
he
saying-
was surprised that he made the presidency. He wasn't expecting it. He was just having fun
Well,
running
right.
because he wanted the publicity.
But-
he was shocked when he got it.
But you know what the problem is,
I don't
Sax man?
think
Yes,
so.
he
Yeah,
was.
yeah, he
You
was.
know what? No,
He
no, no,
was-
no, no,
yeah,
because-
oh, yes, he
Because
was.
on this show right here,
No, he
my
was
man,
shocked. He was shocked.
he said it. They asked him on the Oprah Winfrey show, I believe it was '89. I said it on the show. He said, if I was to run as a president, I'm gonna run as a Republican because they'll believe everything I say.
And he's not wrong about that.
And
Listen,
he know it.
It's
He
over
like,
with now. It's been
But-
2
but-
years, so I can talk about it now.
Of course you
When
can.
when I worked for the DNC, I was part of the protection detail, executive protection detail. I drove around a lot of the executives.
The RNC or the DNC?
The RNC. All right, I drove them around. I'm driving. I got CNN behind me. I got senators behind me.
Maybe at
They
first.
was talking, and I don't supposed to listen. I'm looking straight ahead, but I'm hearing everything. Trump was not expecting to win. Trump just having fun
And that's
with
why.
this shit.
And you know what?
He
That's
was
why they try to
enjoying
make money
himself.
off of it. And that's why they
Yes.
try to make money off of
He
that
was
with the
having
Russians.
fun.
And he was trying. That's why he in the trouble he in, because everybody tried to sell that office and make that money while they was running with it.
He wasn't looking to win. He was looking to stop Hillary, have fun, continue on with his You're Fired. What's the name of his show? Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
Right.
He was looking to pump that show up some more. He's looking for all the publicity he can get.
I believe you 100%.
And he was pumping that.
I believe you 100%.
But Sax man,
But at some point in time, he said, I could win this money.
right?
You know why? Because he saw the poll numbers. He saw
Exactly.
those numbers when they started electing, and he was shocked. He said, "Holy shit!"
So let's go home.
I'll agree with you 100%.
Let's bring it
He
home.
wasn't expecting it.
So what is happening in our luxury veins of EC? What's the problem there? Where that can be?
Well, the
straightened
same
out?
situation, Sean. Think about it. You got people in office out there don't know what the fuck. Excuse my language. Don't know what the hell they doing. All right, you got them in office. You have them in key positions, and they don't know what the hell they doing. And the ones that don't know what they're doing, they figure, because I don't know what I'm doing, I'll just wing it.
Well,
They
to
winging
go
it
back
wrong.
to go back to Sean's point a few minutes ago before we got deterred into Trump, like the problems that East Cleveland been having, this ain't just on set with this new mayor.
No,
Mayor
this
King.
been going on for a
This
while.
been
Right.
going. This goes way
It
back.
goes back
So
to way
with
back.
some individuals who, for lack of a better way to put it, were qualified. They were qualified for the job. Whether they were just corrupt and greedy and scandalous and
You can be educated and still be a dirty dog at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, I'm saying like so.
I mean, like-
well, what Sean said a minute ago was like this guy inherited this office and that's why it wouldn't. That's probably not what you were saying, but it came out like you were saying that's why East Cleveland is having the problems that they're having now because he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to do the job. But his predecessor set him up for failure, basically.
Right,
Listen,
right.
listen,
There you go.
listen.
There you go.
Okay,
That's
but-
true, right there.
Okay, but as far as the police department, if you're going to act as the safety director, you should know what to do and how to run the department.
But see, it goes back to this
Simple
too.
as
It
that.
goes
You
back to this
should.
too, Sax
gonna
man.
speak on
the
It comes down from the chief.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes.
But you're the safety director, so you're the top law there.
Right. You should know
You should
everything.
know everything. You're supposed to be on top of the thing. If
That's
your
correct.
officers are not in compliance, you're supposed to be the first to know.
But
That's
you
correct.
said he's also the safety
Maybe
director.
they
Right,
did
right,
know
right.
it, but
yeah,
what
he
they
doesn't.
did know it.
No,
It's
but
like,
see,
you know what?
you can't.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He's in
Sax.
charge of the safety forces. Police, fire, EMS in East Cleveland. That's his job. That's safety director.
All right, that's your job. You got to
That's
know
your
it.
job. You have
Yeah,
to know
but
this shit.
he only has that job because he got elected mayor and he has the power to appoint
There
himself
you go.
or to serve
Right,
that
right,
role.
right.
So that doesn't
So
mean
go
he's,
back to my question.
so he wasn't
Should
qualified.
you have, before you take a position like that, have a course to learn it?
Yeah.
Okay,
In the
then.
ideal world,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you can't run for office and you can't fool some people, for lack of a
So,
better word, into voting for you.
The next step
talking
would
about in
be,
the perfect world,
but the next step should go to his chief. Hey, chief, I don't know anything about safety director. Teach me what I need to know.
But that's why
Well,
they.
you're talking about somebody who's trying to who
But Sax man,
who wants to do the right
if
thing.
you're gonna take the position, should you do that?
Maybe he
but
just
Sax
want that
man.
double paycheck.
All right.
Maybe that's all he cares
Sax
about.
man.
Yeah.
That's what he did. That's why the chief. Hey, that's why the chief got him in the position he is, because he did go to the chief and said, "I need you to run this."
The more corruption
man.
gonna be. That's in the Bible.
But
the more power you have, I mean, we're human. You're gonna be corrupt.
But
the more power you have,
because
you're
of
gonna
your
use that
lack
power.
of knowledge, you have a department that's running rampant out of compliance.
I mean, it boils down to whether or not you want to do the right thing. If he knows he's overwhelmed, he's trying to wear too many hats. But
hold on,
either he wants to appoint other people to do it,
hold on,
or not.
hold on that thought. Hold on
or
that
try
thought.
to do the right
Hey,
thing or not.
Everybody, hold on to that thought for a minute, because we got to go pay some bills. So everybody, hold on to that thought for a minute, and we're gonna be right back.
This is AP News Minute. President Trump talked about immigration, the Russia investigation, and the media during a rally in West Virginia. He mostly ignored legal developments involving Paul Manafort and Michael Cohen. Manafort, the former Trump campaign chair, was convicted of financial crimes on Tuesday. Cohen, Trump's former attorney, pleaded guilty to felonies, which his lawyers said were coordinated with Trump. Authorities in Iowa say a man from Mexico confessed to kidnapping and killing college student Molly Tibbetts. Christian Bahina Rivera, who is in the U.S. illegally, is charged with first-degree murder. And people in Hawaii are preparing for Hurricane Lane, a powerful Category 5 storm in the Pacific. The hurricane is forecast to come dangerously close to the main Hawaiian Islands this week, bringing fierce winds and flash floods. Mike Hempton, the Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
Wait, hold on, brother. If you really want to know what's going on, listen to STMK Radio 100. They keep it real, and they stopping the madness.
This is Christina in Savannah. I listen to STMK Radio 100 on my way home from work. Every Thursday, they keep it 100.
You want to know how to stop the madness? Listen to STMK Radio 100 and keep it 100.
You're listening to STMK Radio 100.
Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 with live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100. Call us at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Stop the madness. Keep it 100.
You've been tuned in to Stop the Madness, keeping it 100 on STMK Radio 100. And now back to your host one more time, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone.
Those who strive to turn the clock back will not be successful, because the arc of justice bends toward that which is good and that which is right. African Americans have been through the storm. We've been through slavery. We've been through segregation. We've been through all of that. And yet, look where we are today.
Hey, welcome back. You know, the first hour went really good. We like to welcome to West Coast City, L.A., Michael Wilkins in the chat room. What's up there, Mike? You know, Saxman in the chat room, Saxman, they really talking about you was on a roll. And I told them you was waiting for the relationship hour to come up. For that, yeah. You know, so that's what you was waiting for, the relationship hour.
I mean, I was geared up for it. I was prepared.
You was prepared.
I took the Viagra for that
one. Right. So, you know, back to the discussion before we took that break. Hey, Savannah in the house in Orlando. What's happening in Orlando? Hey, Philadelphia is here with us today. We're going to talk about that later because our Cleveland Browns are down at the First Energy Stadium, and we're going to have a watch party with them later on. So we're really looking for that. But Saxman, you know, I want to go back into this for a minute, and I want to say this about last week we did Survey Monkey Poll.
Monkey paw?
Poll.
Oh, I think it's a monkey paw. I'm going to say that's something that your boy Eric Brewer should be involved in.
And
what's wrong with that?
The poll was set up as to, is the East Cleveland Police Department, right, the poll was set up as if the East Cleveland Police Department, if they're going to abandon them.
Oh,
and disbanded. Okay, so the monkey poll last week, it was a 75 to 25%. 75% said no, they wouldn't disband it. 25% said they would. Now, in the poll, we got a poll going up on Facebook right now, so I want everybody to go to Facebook. STMK Radio 100's Facebook page is up in 347 groups, and the poll is, will East Cleveland disband their police department, and if they're dissatisfied with the police department?
And those on Facebook Live with me, come on and let me know.
Moving to your mic.
Let me know what you think about it on Facebook.
Right,
Live.
Facebook Live. And tell them to go take the poll, take the vote, because the poll's going to stay up for 6 days. So that means next week when we come on the air, we're going to get a result to that poll.
Right.
Okay. And right now, it's running 83% no and 17% yes. So, Saxman, we're gonna move on down the line because I want your expertise on this while we on the police issue right here in East Cleveland.
I say if they vote to disband them, and that'll be their demise. If they vote to keep them in there, they can make stipulations. Well, okay, if they're gonna stay, they all got to be up in compliance. And give them so many months, whatever years, whatever, to come up in compliance. And get them out, get everything correct.
But I'm gonna ask this question to you, Saxman, and this is a question that everybody has to ask themselves. Okay. One, are you going to make the city choose between a corrupt police force and protection?
Okay, I'll answer that. You can say, instead of disbanding, get rid of the already existing officers and bring in a whole new group.
Yeah, but how you going to do that? Where they coming from?
I don't know.
Yeah, Sax, that sounds good, but
Wait.
I'm saying
I should have an
at
answer.
least-
I
yeah.
should have an answer, and I'm not gonna give you I don't know answer, 'cause that's bullshit. I have an answer.
Say, what's wrong with
Okay,
that,
so
though?
give us the answer.
Nothing's wrong with
Okay.
saying I don't know, especially if you don't know.
Just have a lateral transfer from other departments to lateral.
But ain't nobody going in East Cleveland from another department.
If they well, hell, all the white boys came from other suburbs.
But they came with departments that was disbanded or they was being fired.
Okay, they came fired.
That's why they have the problem
That's why
they
got
had.
the problem. So what you do is you make sure you investigate every.
But who's going
applicant.
to come in East Cleveland? And who's going to leave? Wait, hold it. Stop right there.
I'm listening.
Shaker making $72,000 a year.
God damn.
Who's going to leave Shaker and come to East Cleveland?
Well, you got new people that want to leave.
Who's going to leave?
CMHA. They want to leave places like that to come to East Cleveland.
Okay,
No, you know what?
not with the problems.
I have a customer that's a cop, and he said they want him to come to East Cleveland. Said he wasn't coming. Ain't nowhere in the world.
Right. There's no way. There is no way. But
You're not gonna get stuck with the same ones we got. We got to do something, or else we're gonna have the problem again.
okay, right. So this is what I'm saying. So if you disband the department, you're going to have to. There's a state of Ohio now, or the sheriff department's going to have to hire 500 cadets and filter the cadets, in with veterans. I don't know. If I had the answer to it, guess what? I'd probably be the governor right now.
Are there 500 cops even in East Cleveland?
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, no. He's saying you got to have enough to be able to filter out to end up with a decent group.
But not only that, you got to
Pretty
have you got to run a 3-shift operation. Okay.
You got to, and you got to have.
I don't see how they could. I don't see how the city could do that.
But the
Because
city
they
can.
Think about, I mean, they of course they can. But
Not the city, but I'm talking about the residents can. The people who live in the city.
I don't really think they care that much about it.
Well, that's true too, because right here,
I hate to say that, but the way they came out and voted. it shows
well,
they don't really
I
care
agree with that.
much.
So well, let's take this right here, and I want everybody to be serious about this for a minute. I want everybody to look at this and listen. If only 2,500 people voted, and all you need is 500 people, okay, to put it on the ballot, 300 people could come out and make a decision for 17,000 people, and that decision could be
Get rid of them.
to get rid of them. I'm serious about it. Okay, we have to think about this. It's a possibility that 50 people may vote and they say, "Hey, let's get rid of it," and it's going to affect everybody in the county. Okay,
Yeah.
and I said this when I was sitting on the panel that this goes all the way to the people in Rocky River, Bay Village, all the way down to Akron. Okay, because guess what? Some funds is going to have to be taken out of the Cuyahoga County coffer to help pay for protection for East Cleveland, okay? And it's going to have to be done whether we like it or not. Or is the sheriff just going to put one car there? Okay, this is not a community, and I know people going to get mad, but I'm going to say this. This is not a community where you could put 1 or 2 police cars in there and they just riding around checking the businesses and come back every other hour, okay?
That's what it seems like, though, huh? For
But
real,
no,
seriously,
no,
though. I
you
mean,
can't do
that's
that in East Cleveland. It's
No,
not-
no,
it's
no,
hard
no.
to do
Yeah, I
that.
mean, you still, but if you roll through East Cleveland, if you live around in the surrounding areas, that's what it seems like.
I agree with that, but that's because if you look
I mean,
at
honestly, though, I mean, do you see a police presence when you roll through East Cleveland?
Yeah, when I worked out there, yeah.
I mean, you know what? Because you work. You're a professional.
Yeah, I worked out there.
That's
They was
your
flying up and down
job.
Euclid like I don't know what. Every
I
time you
mean,
look up, they flying up and down Euclid.
so, and I want to bring this up because
Only when there's a call, only when there's an emergency.
right, but I want to say this so everybody can understand what we're talking about, especially the people in Pittsburgh. They know exactly what I'm talking about because after the shooting in East Pittsburgh, PA, of the young man that ran away from the car, their council, now it's their council, their city council is voting this week to disband the police department and let the sheriff department handle it because of the lawsuits.
Wow, just for one shooting.
Right.
It has to be more than one. Has to be something.
For the city of Pittsburgh?
East Pittsburgh. It's a suburb.
Okay,
City of East
okay.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
It's like that's the city.
Just like East Cleveland.
Probably comparable to East Cleveland.
Where the young man was sitting in the car and he ran from the car from the policeman and the policeman shot him in the back twice. That suburb this week is voting to disband their police department. So it's happening. City officials are doing it, but what they did is they went to the sheriff department and surrounding police departments, and they contracting police service from them. Okay, where the sheriff department is going to come out and do it, and then if the sheriff department has a manpower problem, the next suburb like Cleveland will come over and help them out.
That's like cutting off your nose to spite your
Well,
face.
in East Cleveland, it is.
That's what I said.
But you have to look at this, Jay.
I'm saying,
But you have to look at this.
saying like you want to. I mean, first of all, I think
when you look at the activists,
it should stop. Well, you shoot somebody in the back, you need to be prosecuted.
Well, and they did prosecute. They did prosecute.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying about East Cleveland.
Not this forsake prosecution, a prosecution where you're going to jail.
Yeah, he's going to jail for manslaughter.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But see, when you look at this, this is what I'm saying about the and I want to bring this back to Saxman because
I mean, that's just like, why do you? I don't know.
He's done.
But I want to bring this back to Saxman so everybody can understand this in the thing. When you go into a city and the activists are tired of the police department and the corruption in the police department, or tired of the way they're being treated by the police department, because that's where it starts, the way the police officers treat the people in the community. So when you look at this and the activist goes out and get these signatures and put this on the ballot, this is a serious situation. There again, as I said, that the county is going to have to take money out of their coffer and pay for it. And believe me, people in Rocky River is not going to like their county taxes going to East Cleveland for police protection, okay? That's going to be a bigger problem in the county.
Can we come up with a solution for East Cleveland? Can we do it?
Well, Saxman, actually, to tell you the truth, there is no real solution for East Cleveland without the community and their city government coming into a meeting and sitting down and listening to each person's concern.
But I mean, is there that much? I'm sure, especially, I'm sure there are
Yes, they
residents
are good
that-
officers in East Cleveland.
Show me one.
I know.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say.
I know
officers.
some persons.
There's residents
in East
that really
Cleveland?
care.
In East
No. There's residents that really
Show me
care
one.
about East
People
Cleveland.
say show you one.
But you look at the people that care.
They're older though.
Wait a minute, but you look at the people that care about East Cleveland. They're all see. Everybody has to understand this, and I say this
Especially
before.
half. I mean, like what?
They're
I'm saying 75% of them are renters.
Right, but they're living in hell.
Yeah.
They're living worse than people living right now in Grafton prison. Okay, they can't come outside at night. They can't do nothing. They living in Swanders. They living like a B-52 did a run on their neighborhoods. So when you got people like that and see this, and then they see the misconduct and being treated that way, it's very easy for them to come and say, get rid of the police department.
Did you know they closed off part of
That's
Terrace
true,
Road?
Sean, but I can't.
They
that's my
closed off
thing.
part of Terrace Road because of the constant.
Well,
oh my
well,
God,
this
they
is
closed
another.
off part of
This
it.
is another problem that came up. Okay, and this is another problem where everybody started. And I'm gonna say this in the council meeting when everyone started talking about the $400,000 they paid to cut grass. Okay, now that is a mismanagement to that. Okay, because of the conditions of the roadway. Maybe that $400,000 should have went to the roadway, and they should have left the grass high. Okay, because now you have to prioritize. Okay, you either have to have 6 feet grass, okay, or roads to drive on. Well, it's more important to have roads to drive on. And then I go back to if you're spending $400,000 for cutting grass, okay. What about the fire truck that need a new pumper?
Oh yeah.
Okay, what about the ambulance that you have that you can't even drive down?
The city of Euclid donated one of their older amount of.
But you still but you still have to understand maintenance still has to be done on it. Okay, those type of vehicles you just can't ride around like a police car until the wheels fall off. Okay,
You can get stuff. It's about maintaining.
so when you look at that and you start talking to the residents, it's very easy that when they see a law enforcement officer and they feel that they're not being treated properly, for them to go to the ballot when this come on the ballot to disband the police department. Okay, and the problem is that if they do disband the police department and it could only take 50 people to vote. Okay, everybody think is a joke and funny, and we got everybody in the chat room, and we listening to people, and they on the polls and they voting. But if a city of 17,000 people and nobody taking their responsibility, their civic responsibilities voting, okay, that means that the activists can come out and get enough people to vote to disband the police department. And the problem that the state says right now is if they do vote to disband the police department and it's on the November 6th ballot, at 12:01, the police department ceases to exist. Okay? So that means that city officials, county officials, and state officials are going to have to sit down and start making contingency plans for if this happens.
They should be doing that already if it's
I was about to
possibility.
say, if it's a
They
possibility,
should have
right
been
now.
done that.
But what I'm saying,
This is
Tone,
about 2 years.
what I'm saying is, Tone, is that they're not doing it, but you can't wait for East Cleveland to do it.
Right.
Okay? Because there again, if you live in Rocky River, the county is going to have to spend money to put deputy sheriffs.
So where's our McCoy
Okay.
at?
I don't see there go again on the conspiracy theories, sex man, because
I'm a shit starter.
because if you look at this, I have a problem with a lot of the activists, and I'm gonna say this. I got people telling me about activists. You know the theories that've been put back.
Yeah.
We did 3 shows. We had all the activists on the show. We gave them almost an hour to do what they want to do. Their thing went out national, but see, the problem is when you have an environment of anti-law enforcement. This is what I'm saying right here, and I said this on a panel Saturday. You can show 100,000 police officers dancing with kids, taking homeless people's socks, ties.
Tying a tie. Yeah.
Police officers every day go out. Thousands of them go out every day and do the job properly and serve their communities.
That's right.
Okay, and you don't hear nothing about it.
Sure don't.
Okay, so you can take those videos and show the videos being done by all the police officers. But the problem is this: one police officer do something bad, everybody has to answer for it. Okay, and
it is big news.
And this is the problem with the community. Okay, because people in Cleveland has to vote to deal with East Cleveland. And there's no sympathy there, Saxman, because you know what? Cleveland has the same problem, and we're going to talk about that on the show or something, with that going on in the descent degree. So if Cleveland has the same problem, think about the people you asked in Cleveland to save a police department. Okay?
Can I say 2 things?
Sure.
Go ahead.
3.
I want to say 2 things.
Go ahead and get one more.
First, I want to address what you just said about the thousands of officers doing good things every day. Okay, we're not going to get into the debate about good cop, bad cops. Yeah, police departments do things like throw cookouts and give out gift cards and stuff like that. Those aren't officers going out of their way to personally do something good. So that's something that's mandated by their commanding officers to try to.
Wait a minute, I'm just talking about answering
try to put forth a good image for the police department. That's totally different from individual officers going out of their way to do good things for people in the community.
But that happens every day.
So. Okay, well, those are 2 totally different things. Right. If we saw more of that from officers going out of their way personally to do things, maybe the perception of police department wouldn't be so bad.
2 East Cleveland.
That's first.
2 East Cleveland officers got in trouble for going out and cutting grass and shoveling snow.
Right, but wait a minute,
they
go
got
ahead.
in trouble for it.
Well, that doesn't make any sense to me why they would get in trouble for it.
They get in trouble for it.
Were they on duty?
I don't know, but
okay, whatever. So whatever. I don't know nothing about that. My second point was that going back to the East Cleveland and the people voting to disband the police department. If that happens, then these same activists that are spearheading this movement, they need to be ready to take to the streets like the guardian angels and patrol.
But they can't. They not.
Why not?
Because
as long as they're legal, as long as they're upstanding citizens and they can. They don't even necessarily need.
Yeah, don't say.
They don't have to be law enforcement. There are things such as guardian angels. There are organizations that exist to patrol neighborhoods.
But this is what's going to happen. Okay, let's be for real right here.
No. Answer his question.
I'm great. This is what's going to happen. Okay, they're going to burn down the house and set the fire and walk away. Okay, you told the guy when he was on the phone last week, there's no way in hell that anything gonna change.
That's not what I said. I said that I don't believe the voting people will vote out the police department. I said it'll be a cold day in hell when he finds an honest politician. That's what I said.
But now when you look at this,
That's real.
East Cleveland's the only city
Not saying he's
that
bad,
voted
but
in
100% honest.
red light cameras in the nation. Okay, now you asking them to choose between crime, poverty, and protectors. Okay.
Well, when the protectors, when they view the protectors as criminals themselves, it's a lose-lose.
Well, but see, that's there again. That's why you have to have this conversation. This is why we having the conversation, because it's not only a lose-lose, and it's not only affecting the city of East Cleveland. It's affecting Euclid, South Euclid, Bedford Heights,
right? But
Rocky
the
River.
city of East Cleveland is going to vote on it. So all these other communities that's affected, they need to be doing something
to assist.
Yeah.
As the old saying
if they're
goes,
going to leave it to the voters of East Cleveland, then they get what they got coming.
It's easy
more
to
or
say
less.
you should be doing something, but what? I mean, what
Right.
do you suggest, Tom?
I just said.
I mean, if you live in Bedford, what if you live in Bedford? What could you do?
Well, no,
to
the
help
people, the
police?
citizens
Those
of Bedford,
Cleveland.
the citizens of Bedford don't have nothing to do with it. The politicians that's going to have to, the state
everybody's gonna have
politicians
something to
and
do
all
with it.
these different
Yeah, I mean,
municipalities
like I said-
that are going to have to,
But
you know,
Tone,
are gonna have
your
to offer
money-
assistance.
But Tone, your money's who you think they're getting the money from?
Yeah, I know they're getting it from their citizens, but their citizens, that's what they elect these people to. That's what
But
they
you-
elect
but
these
you
people to
should-
do
but
for
wouldn't you-
situations. This is where they really have to earn their money.
Right, but wouldn't you want to say so of how your money being spent?
You have a say so. I'm just saying, but you can't determine how the people of East Cleveland are going to
no,
vote.
But only person in East Cleveland can determine East Cleveland's fate is East Cleveland itself.
Right.
Okay, so we already know that.
So the other municipalities, what I'm saying is that if they see that this is a very realistic possibility this happen, yeah, maybe they should be already talking to their citizens.
They should
okay?
be making contingency
Yeah.
plans. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Because this is what's could happen come November 6th. And everybody has to understand this. Facebook Live and everybody what is come November 6th.
What's up, Tammy?
Okay. East Cleveland may have on the ballot. We know they put a petition. They have 180 days to file the petition. And if it's not November 6th election, then East Cleveland has to have a special election. We do know that this petition have a better chance of 50-50 of going on the ballot. Okay. And I don't care where this is what I'm saying. This is why we're talking about it. I don't care where you at. Okay. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what your political affiliations is. Okay. Because everybody has to understand Rocky River, Lakewood, and all the suburbs are understanding right now as crime in Cleveland grows and everything is being filtered and raped in Cleveland, it comes into their suburbs. So now people cannot.
How many times have I said if you live within a 20-mile radius of Cleveland,
You got a problem.
You are a victim.
Right.
Bottom line.
I've said that
because you
so
can't
many
you can't
times.
sit in your house
Tom
no
was
more.
just talking about this when we came over here, didn't we, Tom?
So
I've been saying it for
right.
2 years.
So when you look at this
We was talking
crime,
about this when we was talking about this on the way over
so
here.
right. So when you look at this crime, and you look at this situation right here, you just can't turn a blind eye on the 17,000 people in that 3.2 square mile area living in poverty, because guess what? Half of them do not even understand what's about to take place.
Well, you know what the real problem sounds like to me? Like, if that's the case, it shouldn't even be allowed to come to a vote. The people shouldn't be allowed to vote the police department.
But you
This
can't-
should be like
you can't stop it.
This should be like a state or a county executive type of decision.
But they have home rule.
Huh?
They allowed to do whatever. They make their own laws.
Well, okay, well, then you live with the consequences.
I understand that.
You
And-
live with the
but wait a minute,
consequences.
I
then.
said that to some people on the panel when we was in the panel and everybody was talking about that and doing that. I said that also, okay? Because what everybody don't understand is that one or two things going to happen. Now, the poll right here, the monkey poll shows us that 75% of the people are already thinking about that. So, Sax, man, when you go to that right there, because in the chat room they're talking about the case out of, where was that at in the chat room? Let me see what they're talking about there.
What is this? Is it monkey
Oh,
poll?
it's the monkey survey poll. Not marijuana, Sax.
Yeah,
man.
they can still say the Paul. You know what I'm saying? They gonna say that one, yeah.
No, it's called Survey Monkey. That's the name of
Right,
the site
Survey Monkey.
Even you, Sax, you as twisted as your mind is, you could go to Survey Monkey, and if you wanted to create some kind of survey to give to people, you could create whatever type of survey you want and disseminate it to people.
So
yeah.
So Sax,
Survey Monkey.
Right.
Survey
As
Monkey.
twisted as your mind is.
Why does he call it monkey pole? There?
Monkey
and this goes right to what we're talking about right here. Right there, we got Houston, Texas in the house. What's happening? Houston, Facebook Live, YouTube.
Houston, what's going on?
In the house with us. Hey, Delano Robinson is with us this afternoon on YouTube Live.
Tammy Phillips is with us on mine.
And in the chat room right there, they talking about this case in Iowa.
Robert Glover.
And this case in Iowa goes right to something that we really need to talk about, and this goes back to East Cleveland. It goes back to the school-to-prison pipeline. Okay. I go back to the thing I said before, that I feel that school resource officers are a good thing in school to improve the relationship with police officers and students and kids, but they should not be in school enforcing laws. And what I mean by that is that if you got a kid that got a problem, the school should be handling that kid with the problem. They should not be bringing law enforcement officers into that. And we're going to go right to this in the chat room because they really got this one's going up.
Well, it ain't working in East Cleveland.
Well,
East Cleveland
I'm not talking about that segment, but, you know, the problem, it goes all the way down. But what I want to talk about.
East Cleveland sure got a nice curriculum.
Right.
Yeah, but the students are running things in there, man. They got students in the hallways refusing to go to school. The resource officers are telling them to move on, move on.
But Sax, man, what I just tell you, a law enforcement officer should not be dealing with kids in school.
They didn't do it. They didn't do it during our time. They didn't do it in our time.
At that point,
that's the problem. You discipline children. You had prayer and you had corporal discipline.
But at that point, at that point, what do you expect them to do?
No.
If they being that defiant,
No.
where they
I'm
not doing nothing.
Come on, Tom. Exactly.
Listen.
If the police got to come and
we
remove
heard
them,
what
then
you're saying, Sean, but
the
that's not
police,
real, though.
the police should not. Again, the police should not be dealing with juveniles in school. If they're that disrupted, the school should have security or have teachers there to remove that student, to punish that student, to expel that student. That student should not be put in the criminal justice system. That's the start.
I'm definitely not saying they deserve to go to jail. I'm saying if they're being so defiant that they don't want to leave.
That is the start of the school-to-prison pipeline that has to be closed. But just because
that's no reason to send them to jail.
Stop. First of all, I don't believe in disrespect. We were raised, Sean.
It doesn't make a difference whether you disrespect or not.
No,
you should not go. Wait a minute. You should not go to jail. You should not go to jail and go into the criminal justice system just because you got a smart mouth.
Definitely.
Okay. You look at this situation.
I mean, having a smart mouth is something different. You're right about that.
You look at this situation.
But if you're being very disrespectful,
you should get smacked in it.
You don't have the authority to smack somebody's kid.
You can't do that. You used to.
What?
But,
hold on.
Say it again.
Say it again.
Say it again. Say it again.
When did we have this conversation on respect 2 shows ago?
But you don't have the authority.
And you said the whole neighborhood will whoop your ass, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Not the police.
You said that's the way it's supposed to be.
Not the police.
You said
there's a difference between the neighbors.
Hold on. No, but you just pointed to Sachs. You just pointed to Sachs and said you don't have the right to smack somebody else's
because
kid.
he's talking about as a police officer.
Okay.
It is not my responsibility as a police officer to raise your kid. Now, if your kid is in the community causing mayhem, robbing, stealing, breaking up stuff, breaking into cars, trying to rob somebody, got a gun on him.
You don't have the right to smack him then either, but you could take him to jail.
Then he's my responsibility.
Right.
But if your kid is inside the school, okay, and you send your kid to school, as this case here in Iowa, where the kid refused to take a bandana off his head, he's get arrested and charged, okay, by a law enforcement officer. That police officer should not.
I agree with that, though, man.
Okay. But wait a minute, Jay.
You out of pocket.
Wait a minute, Jay.
Get in line.
Jay.
You're disrespectful.
But Jay,
do what the hell you were told
But
to
there's
do.
a way for somebody to do that, not the police.
And it's a better way to tell
Not
it too.
the
Like
police.
if anybody talk to me like that, I'm not doing what they saying either.
But if he's not
If anybody talk to me like that, I'm not doing it either. I don't care if he is the
Jay.
police. He gonna have to roughen me up and take me to jail. You're not talking to me like that, expecting to get any results out of me.
I mean, it goes
See,
both ways.
this whole thing
on
about
school
you
no.
can't talk to me. You gotta give
Wait a
me
minute.
respect.
On school premises,
you know, all this
wait a
stuff.
minute.
Come on.
But on school premises,
you are a child. Stay in a child's
But
place.
He's a human
Thank
being.
you, Sean.
He's a human being.
No.
Deal with him with the same dignity and respect that you expect him to
You are a
give you.
child.
And even if he don't give you that
though,
same
Sean.
dignity and respect, be better to him. Don't come down to his level.
You a child.
That ain't gonna
man.
help.
Stay in a
But
child's
sex man,
place.
What's
sex
that
man.
helping, Sean?
Wait
What's
a
that
minute.
helping? For real. What is that helping?
But it should
It's
not.
setting the right example. Maybe you can't. So what is it helping him? So what are you saying? If he don't
There's
give you the respect you demand,
consequences.
whoop
It's
his ass and send him to jail.
But
how is that helping him?
consequences.
How is that helping him?
Why should he
you
go to
learn.
jail?
Especially if he gonna go to jail
It's
anyway.
consequences.
No, John.
If he gonna
eventually in life,
Your kid
you're going
should,
to
no,
jail.
no,
You're going to
but
jail.
your kid should
If
not
you
be
don't-
going
if
to
you're
jail.
not-
Wait a minute, John. Your kid should not be going to jail for being acting out in a school environment. Okay? That's ridiculous.
It depends on.
I wouldn't care what he did in school. If he threw his lunch, a police officer should not be in the school enforcing law. The school to prison pipeline has to stop. That's why more young black males are incarcerated in prison because of the way they're going to get records in school. That's why you can't get a job as a young black man right now because you're getting felonies, okay?
Can I say
felonies
something?
in the school
Can I
environment.
say something on that? That's not
do
wait,
shit to
wait.
get felonies, though.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
with that.
not the police fault. If the
Yeah.
parents raise their child to go to school,
Wait a minute, Saxman, stop it right there.
Something,
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
learn
Saxman,
something,
Saxman,
not
People
no.
don't fear their
disrespect.
parents
Wait a
so
minute,
much.
Saxman,
Be
Saxman,
disrespectful.
Don't interrupt him. That's the truth.
Wait a
though,
minute, that's
Sean.
true.
It
but
is the truth.
It's not the law enforcement officer's responsibility to be in schools enforcing law.
How many? Okay, we
No.
had at Shaw High School. I went to Shaw. We didn't have police in there. We had the principals patrolling the school.
Okay, but you didn't go to jail.
Now listen. At Audubon Junior High School, we didn't have the police. We had school security. Audubon's bad, but they had security. We listened. We didn't talk back to them. We respected our teachers.
That's what
Okay,
I'm
wait a minute, hold on.
saying.
Okay,
No,
wait,
no,
wait,
because
wait,
you
time out for a
can't.
minute. Wait a minute, hold on for a minute.
I have a
In-
hard
in-
time
in-
believing
wait a
you, Sax.
Wait a minute.
Oh, it's true.
In the chat room.
Hey,
You
I'm
know
gonna call
what?
Mama Sachs again.
I'm telling you real. Hey,
I'm
man,
gonna call
for
Mama
real.
Sachs. She'll tell
Wait,
you.
wait a minute, Jake.
Me too.
People in the chat room says this.
And why did you get snatched
Okay,
up? Because you was
wait a
talking
minute,
back.
let me
So
clarify
ain't nothing
something.
changed.
Okay, hold on. Let me
And
clarify
then we
something.
also have
John,
parents
hold
that
on,
will get you
John.
harder than the principals or the
But
police
John,
officer or everybody.
John,
You're in trouble. Go
John,
ahead, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, hold on. People in the chat room, you're correct. If a kid, so let me explain this to you.
But
If-
I'm saying
wait a
they
minute,
trying
John,
to
hold on, back
learn,
up. Wait a minute,
though.
hold on for a minute. Wait a minute, stop.
And this nigga
No,
being
no,
disrespectful and
wait a
just
minute,
fucking up and
wait,
cutting up
but he should not.
fuck out of
wait,
here,
wait,
though.
but he should not go to jail.
No, get him the fuck out, man. That's real.
But he shouldn't
Man,
go to jail.
Man,
No.
you know what? Because
You
you
can
go to jail.
suspend him.
No.
You can take him
going
out
to
of
jail in real life for disrespecting
but-
and going
But you can't
against
do that.
authority.
No,
It's
no,
not a crime to be
no,
disrespectful.
Right, it's not a crime to be
But it's a
disrespectful.
crime to go against authority.
Yes,
No.
it is.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
understand
No, it's
it.
not.
Yes, it is.
No,
it's
And
not.
you-
If
you
I
put
pull
it
you
up.
over for speeding,
Wait a minute. The Ohio Supreme Court has already ruled. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Go
Stop,
ahead. Go
stop
ahead.
it right
You
there.
know
Wait
you
a minute,
put
John.
that on the
In the chat room, they said
shit.
something. If
Half the law
a
is- half the
kid,
law
wait
ain't
a minute,
right.
John. If a kid is committing a crime on school property, and I say this again, so let's get this clarified.
Go ahead.
If a kid is committing a crime,
Mhm.
aggravated felony, or
Mhm.
rap, or violating somebody's personal space,
Uh-huh.
okay, I can see them being arrested for that crime.
Which happens all the time.
Okay, but listen, Saxman, we're not talking about what happens all the time. We're talking about law enforcement officers on school property
Uh-huh.
being used to put kids into the criminal justice system that should not be doing that. Police officers, you should not be in school enforcing school rules as a police officer arresting kids. That's
Why not?
wait,
You
wait,
can't just- you
Jake, wait a
can't-
minute, Jake. That's where the problem comes in at when kids have to interact with law enforcement officers on the street. You already have that kid having an attitude where problems come in. They already don't want to listen to you. If you have a kid,
That's
but,
fucked up. That's
wait
what
a
I'm
minute,
saying. That's
John.
the mentality, though,
But if you
man.
have a kid in school, John, if your daughter was in school right now acting up, okay,
I'm glad you went there.
Wait,
Come
wait,
on, come
okay.
on with it.
you would not want me to come into that school, tase your
You
daughter.
a damn lie.
No.
Because I told my
What?
kids, you fuck. She asked me one time.
Hold on,
this
hold
John-
on,
no,
hold
no,
on,
no,
hold on,
no, no,
hold
no,
on,
no.
Jay.
No,
Hold on,
everybody
let him
stop.
give you a better example because right now
Because my
you
daughter
just
asked me, my children, this teacher, when kind of overboard to call
A teacher,
right now.
not a police officer.
No, I'm saying, but a teacher, and say, you know what? She's like, but what if a teacher did me like that? Like, you wrong.
So
wait, do
so
what?
wrong.
Do what? What did she do?
Because, huh?
What did she do? What was the offense that she committed?
You know what? I'm gonna say. She said this teacher. It's been a few years back. Mama put in the ground. She said a few years back. This is years back. She was telling me how a teacher went overboard with a student that is disrespectful. And she said, what would she do if a teacher did me like that? Said, I would say,
but
do
John,
your damn thing.
Okay, but John,
because you out of pocket.
John, you said a teacher.
I'm not quite.
I mean,
I'm not quite understanding you.
You said a teacher.
No, what I'm saying is because okay.
But
teacher,
let's hold on for a minute.
Overboard with an out of pocket student. And she said, what if she was like more accosting and putting down the teacher?
Right.
I said, no, that's an adult. You wrong as hell.
But John.
Okay, so she deserved to go to jail for that?
Not go to jail, but be chastised.
That's what we talking about.
That's what I'm saying. You can't give corporal punishment in school anymore.
So John.
So did she deserve to go to jail for talking back to the teacher?
No, that's not about punishment. It's about being totally disrespectful.
That's what we talking about.
It's more about being talking back.
No,
I don't see going to jail.
John, you missed
That's what we talking about.
That's what we talking about. John, hold on. John, hold on for a minute. Listen to this. This case out of Iowa. Police officers do not enforce school rules. Okay? Your daughter's sitting there. We got police officers in school, and I'm pro-police, but we got police officers in school tasing 6- and 7-year-olds.
Wow.
Okay? You got reports of police because of a kid acting out in school. Wait, stop it right there.
Oh,
you got kid. It's not the police officer responsibility. It's the school responsibility to have things in place. If your kid
can't though.
They can. John, stop. No,
you can't get corporal punishment.
You don't have to give corporal punishment to remove a kid out of the room. The same way the police walk in there and cuff them and snatch them up and move them out.
You can't do that no more, son. You know that.
Okay. So why you got a police officer doing it?
You know what I mean? Because
why you got a police officer doing it?
Law enforcement.
No,
this
it's
is
not
Chelsea Hawthorne from sunny California, and I listen to.
It's not their responsibility.
Sonny said, calm your ass down.
So when you look at this,
I'm surprised at you, and I like it in some ways.
It's not a police officer's responsibility. It's not my responsibility to train your kids. It's not my responsibility to raise your kids.
What the hell is the police officer there for?
No, he's not. He's not there for school.
That's what he said, John. They shouldn't be there.
He's not there for school.
That's what they got security guards for. The security is supposed to be doing that.
Security is handcuffed. They can't do shit to these kids.
Hey,
they can put them in cuffs. They can detain them.
John, your kid should not be getting a record in the criminal justice system. And everybody just calm down for a minute, especially sex man.
I ain't saying nothing.
Because when you start talking about law enforcement, this is the problem.
Wait, let's go here, Sean.
I'm with you, Sean. I'm with you. I ain't said a word.
So there's one thing. You don't like to go religious and Bible and all that type of stuff. And I respect that. But in the Bible, all scripture, the Old Testament, you would get stoned for disrespecting your students.
But I understand that, John. But guess what?
So I don't believe
you can get stoned in school. But guess what? A police officer does not have to be the one to stone you.
But you can't do that no more with children.
You can. The school system.
The teachers can't do that no more.
Wait a minute.
No.
You can put anything in place.
No.
John.
The teachers cannot.
Then why? Then why is the police doing it? Why is the police doing it? If you can't put it in place,
because the teachers can't. The teachers can't.
No, the teachers don't have to, John.
What you mean they don't have to?
Get a squatter. Get a squatter order these.
They can't either, no, sir.
Yes, they can. The police.
No.
The police. Let me tell you what's going to happen in this case in Iowa when the police. Let me tell you about.
Of course, you're gonna have bad cases.
No, John.
I mean,
John,
of course you're gonna have.
Let me tell you about the case in Iowa. Back up for a minute.
You're gonna have
John, back up for a minute. So let me tell you what's happening with the case in Iowa.
Talking about one case. Talking about one case.
No, we're talking about thousands. No, we're talking about thousands of cases.
About 51 states.
We talking about thousands. Wait a minute, John. We talking about kids, 7-year-olds being tased. We talking about 7-year-olds being cuffed. We talking about 8, 9, 10-year-olds receiving felony records for acting up in school. That should not happen. It shouldn't. There's no justification. Go back to, if you got a kid that cannot come into the school environment, go back to the supplementary center where you have disrupted kids. Put the disrupted kid in the supplementary center where he's not disrupting everybody, where he got the teacher that's going to beat him down for acting up, where he got the teacher that's going to put him in a restraint. Who do you think, if a kid goes into one of those homes like the Boys Town, the police don't go into those homes and restrain those bad kids and tase them and beat them up and put them in the justice center?
I mean, you know
wait
what,
a minute, John. The juvenile justice system has. Wait a minute.
I'm tired of
everybody's tired. Everybody's tired of respect.
I'm tired of that shit, though. I'm tired of that shit.
And I agree with
you. Jay, you sounded like you deal with a lot of lost youth every day.
You know what? You can ask anybody. You can ask anybody. I didn't have other.
You know what, Jay? You can take them in the back of the shop and you can box with them. They're not gonna call the police on you. They're not gonna charge you if you rough them up a little bit.
I don't think we're bad.
But Jay,
I don't believe in disrespect. In no type of level.
So John,
in no type of levels.
John, so let me say this. When you in the shop,
I show them love. I'm showing them 100%.
Hey, give him some monkey paw.
Yeah. For real, for my no disrespect. I don't believe in disrespect.
I dig it.
Hey,
man.
But you know what? I want to say this.
And once you do certain things, your consequences are whatever they are. Because you open the fucking door.
But John, let me say this, John.
You gotta be careful when you say things like that.
You know, and I know I do. And I know some cops go. I didn't see any cops.
Because as soon as one of your little grandson, you a grandfather now, ain't you?
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as one of your grandsons is getting a felony and getting sent off to juvie for calling his teacher a bitch, you could look back 10 years from now and be like, you thought that was okay.
First of all, you don't understand that, though. See, first of all, you don't know what I've been through.
It don't matter what I'm saying.
No, you don't know what I've been through my children that said, you know what?
We don't want to know. Wait a minute.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general, but your grandson, think of them when they grow up. Yeah, teach them the lessons, teach them the values that you believe in.
But you can do that. I prefer you raise your kid. That's your responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not mine.
First of all, you know what? You wrong, Tom. I mean, I'm sorry. You wrong because it takes a visual.
It takes a village.
Oh, who? It does,
but guess who the village is?
I'm gonna sell it though.
But John, who's the village? Who's the village?
He got that
Think about that. Who's the village? The village is the mans of the community. I remember when I grew up. Okay, the mans in the community went out and stopped all that.
They did.
Okay, if you had somebody breaking in houses, they wouldn't pay them a visit.
Yeah.
The police didn't have to. See, you don't need the police to do everything for you.
No, you got to realize though, what you're saying is 100% true. But I'm saying is we don't give the teachers or the parents. We can't even whoop our kids no more, man.
Because whose fault is that?
So I mean, no, that's the law.
Who makes the law? Who makes the law?
We do.
Okay, so if we do the proper thing and make the proper laws, we won't have that problem.
Good if we go vote, if we do this. But that's what it is.
But let me ask you this question, okay? And I'm going back to the chat room. We're going too far. We're going too far around. But I'm gonna go back into this about East Cleveland because we got everybody in the chat room and everybody talking about East Cleveland. So we're gonna go back this because this is the thing I'm saying. With police officers in schools, especially East Cleveland schools, and our kids getting arrested and catching felonies for being disrespectful in school. If we don't close that school-to-prison pipeline, we're going to have more prisons for profit operating, and we're going to have more of our kids going through the system than it should. And we also going to have more violent confrontations between youth and law enforcement officers.
There is no repairing this.
Well, it is repairing this, Saxon, man.
Because
I can repair it because I can tell you the first thing. First thing is your ass and your gun and your badge is going to leave our schools, and we're not going to have police officers in school putting our kids in the criminal justice system. That's the first repair right there.
Okay, and then now what's going to stop the kids from fighting, beating up teachers?
That's what. Wait a minute, Saxman.
What's going to stop that?
Saxman. When you went to Shaw, wait a minute. When you went to Shaw, Saxman. Wait a minute. When he went to Shaw, I'm going to tell you what. Because you had male teachers hired just for that.
But you can't do that no more. I should have smell
John, stop it. Wait a minute. John, stop it right there.
Think about it like this. How many police officers you think gonna be in the school? Even if it's 1 or 2 or 3, they not gonna. If a teacher get beat up, the cop not gonna be in the room with them at the time. They gonna have to respond after the fact.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they're
I
not
saw
stopping
one time-
nothing. If that happens, it's gonna happen.
You know what? I saw one time, and he got so much flack. He did go overboard.
The one that snatched the woman out the chair, the girl out the chair.
Yeah.
And
What I'm saying is, if she was in
But it's not his place to put her there. See, that's the problem.
He was hiding that
But
shine.
that's the
What are
problem
you
you have,
talking about,
John. That's the problem you have right there. There you go. Right. This is your problem right there.
She can't do it.
No, this is your problem right there. It's not the law enforcement officer's place to put your kid in his place.
Why do you say that? Though,
The teacher tried. She disrespected
That's
the
why.
teacher.
That's why the principals and the school system has to have something in place. It's not the police officer's place.
It's called expulsion.
Okay, it's not the police officer's place.
They expel them. Now they don't get educated.
And
Then
now,
you go-
sex man.
They end up
right.
in prison regardless because they had no education.
Thank you, man. That's what
They
I'm
ain't
saying.
going that far
But
because
everybody,
they put them out of
everybody
school.
don't
They
end up
put
in
them
prison
right
from
back in prison
suspect. No,
anyway.
sex man. Everybody don't see. That's the problem with police officers.
No, that's not the
No,
problem. Police
no,
officers.
no.
I'm just speaking in
No,
general.
no, I'm gonna say this.
Police
This
officers
is the
that got
problem
nothing to
with
do
police-
with a
If
kid
you go up
coming
here
to
and
school,
disrespect-
doing something wrong,
this is-
getting
wait a minute,
getting
doing
suspended,
it.
This
and
is
then
the
hanging
problem
out
with
school.
police. No, this is
police
the
ain't got
problem.
nothing to do with that.
Hold on, Sax man. Stop it right there.
All right.
This is the problem right here with police officers. I'm coming straight to you because me and you gonna hit this. The problem is you're trying to justify the reason why police officers are in our school beating
trying to
on our
justify that.
kids.
I agree with you. They shouldn't be
That's
there.
not your job.
I agree
It's
with you.
not.
They
If
shouldn't
my
be
son, wait a minute, John, step back.
Homework.
Wait a minute,
That'd
step
be
back.
simple. It
Step
wouldn't
back.
happen.
John, no, I wouldn't care if my son was not doing his homework. I don't care if my son called you every bitch and hoe in the book. It is not your place as a police officer to come into a school because my son got smart ass mouth to tase him, to throw him on the ground because I'm going to prosecute you. That's child abuse.
Right.
So wait a minute. So let me tell you this. Why should I put a police officer in a position to lose his job and his livelihood when he needs to be out there chasing criminals?
Right, I agree.
My son's not a criminal. He's a
Let
smart
me go
ass.
back here.
And there's
Remember,
no justification
about
for that.
half an hour ago, I said one of my clients was a police officer. He got hired to come in East Cleveland. And the reason he said, I can't go in East Cleveland, I got too many drug blocks.
Right, but
no. He said the clear club drug block, you gotta go in and fuck a nigga up.
But that's not his job.
If you want to block, if you on the block, I mean anybody's
That's
job.
not his job.
That's how you clean
That's
shit up.
That's why people want to get rid of the police, John. You cannot violate constitutional rights. That's not your job.
If you want to block,
that's not your job.
Certain things.
If this is,
you
John,
right. You right. You know
it's
what?
Not, it's not
I'm
my
you-
job
you're
to whoop
100%
your
right.
ass when you walking down the street just because you standing on the
You're
block.
100% right. I'm gonna say okay. First, I mean, you know what? I don't know, but I knew. If you run from the cop,
back
you
in
get
the
your ass
day-
whooped.
It's
If you
not
get
my
caught-
job to whoop your ass if you run from me. That's a violation of your constitutional. A law enforcement officer, everybody stop right there. A law enforcement officer is to uphold the Constitution
You
and
right,
the law.
you right in some
It's
ways,
not my
son.
job to beat you. It's not my job to violate your rights. It's not my job to raise you.
It's to
Okay,
preserve
it's not.
his rights.
It's not my job.
It's to preserve
If
it.
Saxman was the police doing it, and I'm the police pulling up, it's my job to arrest Saxman and turn Saxman in. It is not Saxman's job to violate your constitutional
job to
rights
preserve
when he's out there.
You are right 100%, Sean.
And
You're
it's
right.
not your job to raise my kid. It's my job.
But you don't go back and forth. Wait. You sit here and say
Okay.
it takes a village to raise a
I said a
family.
village. A village is two
So
things.
don't-
Wait a minute, wait a minute. A village is
Well,
two
hold on.
things.
A cop is a part of
No,
village.
no. The police officer is not a part of the village to raise your
He's
kids.
the part of the village.
They
He's a
should
part-
be,
he's
but
a
they not
part-
necessarily
he-
are.
he's a
Especially
part
if they
to
coming from 30
uphold-
miles away
He's a
just
part
to
to
do a
uphold.
job.
He's a part to uphold the
Okay,
law.
Okay, that's real.
But why
That's
we right
real.
there? But why we
That's
right there
real.
talking about
30
this?
miles away. You're right, because you should have some love. You should have some, like,
some investments in the community.
You know what the problem with these cops is? Sacks.
Thank you. You're right.
Sacks.
But I don't want to get on Sacks because I just wanted to shut him up right there.
I ain't said
because,
a word, man.
because you know when Sacks do
You
something.
are law enforcement correspondent.
I'm with
man.
you. I'm with you.
You know when Sacks say something.
I'm with
right.
what Sean is saying. I
because
agree
they
with
should.
that.
But see, because look at this.
I agree. Cops should
The
not be there.
The last week. Let me
should
show you
have
this.
resource officers like they had
Right.
back in
The
our
last
day.
week. Let me show you this. The last week. Okay, for everybody sitting here talking about, and we're gonna talk about this case. The last week in Nashville, Tennessee.
Back in our day,
Okay.
it's a totally different thing.
Wait a minute, John.
Back in that day, we had principles, man.
In Nashville. Wait a minute, John. Hold on. John. We rolling now.
Jay,
Nashville,
let him get
Tennessee.
the story
Right.
out.
Nashville, Tennessee. The last week you've had 6 law enforcement officers who are in the process of possibly losing their jobs or going to jail for dealing with juveniles. And I'm going to go there back to this again, Saxon, man. And it's not a law enforcement officer's job to raise your kids. It's his job to enforce the
How
law.
many times have I said that on this show?
You have. And I'm talking about that now because of the problem with the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah, I know.
Okay? And
So you keep saying that school to prison pipeline.
Right, because
that sounds good. but I'm
because
understand
I'm
what
hitting on the one thing where this boy refused to take off a bandana and was arrested by 2 police officers. And in trial, when he goes to court, guess what? The judge is throwing that out. Now you got 2 police officers who's going to be standing there getting a lawsuit for violating his constitutional rights when he should have never been involved with it. That was the school's responsibility. That was the principal's job to come out of that building and walk up to that student with his people.
I mean, if the student said no, what can the principal
Wait a minute,
do?
Jay, it's not.
No.
Jay,
I asked you a question.
You want the
what can the principal do?
He can do the same thing the police
No.
do.
Man, my principals went to my body.
Wait a minute, Jay.
Wait a minute.
Jay, listen. He can do the same thing the police do. You do not need the police to be your hammer.
When we got a line back in the
why
day,
were
we
you
got
can't-
SWAT.
What hammer do you have
But
then?
not the police.
We got SWAT.
That's the
what you
problem.
have? No, that's what I asked
Jay,
you.
you're
I asked you
okay.
what you don't have.
Okay.
I said, what do you have?
Let me explain this to you. You asked a question. You do not need law enforcement officers.
No. Okay.
Listen, Jay,
What
I'm trying
you
to explain
have,
you
though,
what I
Shine?
just told you. The schools need to put in place a system where orderlies, you can go by, you can get 2 big bodybuilders. You could pay them $100,000, 2 big bodybuilders. When Jay get out of line, your job is to go in there and get Jay and put him in a straitjacket.
You don't have that.
You do. You can. Jay,
They had them back in the day.
Jay, you paying a police.
Back in the day, exactly. You don't
Jay.
have that right now.
But Jay,
you can't even whoop your children.
Jay.
You can't even like this.
James.
Discipline
John.
your own children.
Hey,
so how the
John.
hell somebody from
John.
the schoolhouse gonna do
Wait a
that?
minute, John. You know what the problem is?
No. Answer that question. If you can't even discipline your own children, how the hell you got somebody from the schoolhouse
Because you got to
discipline your children?
You want a police officer to do it. The police officer shouldn't
When
be
this
doing
show
it.
is over, I want what I want what John.
What you got in that cup,
I
man?
want what you had in that cup.
But hold on, wait a minute. Everybody chill down for a minute because I want to address. Wait a minute, Jay, wait a minute. Hold on for a minute. Everybody chill out for me. I want to address something in the chat room. The kids in schools are not committing, and I want to say this. Everybody talking about the kids are committing their own. Wait a minute. Hold on for a minute. Come on, bring it down. Okay, second, bring it down. The kids are in the chat room. I want to address this to the chat room and especially Facebook Live because the kids are not creating their own problems in school. Kids do be disruptive. If a kid is breaking the law, then I can understand the police coming in and arresting that kid and doing what he want to do. But if a kid is acting out, he should not be getting criminal charges for acting out. Okay, and as they saying in the chat room, so everybody chill out.
I mean,
you know,
every case is different.
but no, there's
100%
but John, there's 100 cases.
Some case need to be. You see, you're speaking about the cases.
But what cases need to be is when there's criminal conduct, and I'm talking about he's in violating of the law, not when he's being disruptive. See, y'all are conflating 2 things for one.
When you disrupt a classroom, you're not just hurting yourself.
That's not a criminal offense,
you're
Sax man.
disrupting everybody
So
else
Sax
learning.
man.
I'm not saying come in there and beat the kid up and take him
Armed
to jail.
police officer, if I'm disrupting the classroom, an armed police
That
officer
teacher should
should
send
not.
Oh,
that student
And for
out.
everybody in the chat room, yes, even if a kid is fighting, kids do have fights. So if it's a thing when you say assault, an assault can be anything. kids do have fist fight. And because two kids have a fist fight, do not mean that they should be arrested and put in the criminal justice system.
I agree. You know what?
Wait a minute, hold on. I disagree with that.
Hold on,
No,
no,
segment.
hold on, no. I said in court.
Okay.
Because my daughter, because she got in a fight in high school, and they pressed charges on her.
And she shouldn't be in the criminal justice system.
At the police officers, like, man, y'all pressed
you know how
charges
many,
on my daughter
you know what?
Because she was upset. She got jumped, and she wanted her father. She was calling. I wanted to talk to my father. Leave me alone. Quit grabbing on me. So I do agree with that.
But let me tell you this.
I've dealt with that.
Do you know how many kids are in the juvenile justice system right now for acting out in school?
That need to be there.
But Sax Man, see, this is the problem. With once again, Sax Man, this is the problem with police officers, and this is the mentality of police officers. Everybody that wants to be law and order and tell what a kid do not need to be in prison. A kid do not need to be in jail.
You know, I feel what you're saying.
And if you feel that way as a police officer, and I'm going to say this for the officers in East Cleveland, and this is probably why the activists in the city want to disband the police, because if you feel that way as a police officer, I do not think I need you in my community around my kids. I didn't say you. I'm talking about police officers period. If a police officer feels that he has to come into my community and discipline and raise my kid and treat them like animals and beat them and arrest them.
That's the parents' fault.
But no, it's not the parents' fault.
It is.
Saxman, no, stop.
No.
This is the problem.
No, I've
when you get out your car.
I've sat in court next to officers.
It's the parents' fault.
Who roughed my daughter up.
It's
not because the police didn't have to come out and police me. The police didn't have to police somebody in my family because we was raised with respect.
Saxman, let me tell you this.
These kids today ain't raised on respect.
Okay, but Saxman.
So the police got to get out there and snatch them up.
No, it's not your job. It's not your job.
It's the parents' fault.
And if you think it's your job.
Every case is different.
If you think it's your job to tighten the kid up.
I'm not saying it's my job, but I'm telling you what happened.
I'm talking about police officers. If you think it's your job to tighten kids up and put them in the prison, in the school and prison pipeline, or go into schools and use your authority and be rough on kids, guess what's going to happen?
When they use a gun to go shoot another kid.
There you go, inflating. We already it is because we already said if they break the law and they doing something criminal, then yes, the police should be dealing with them in the school.
Yeah, exactly.
My daughter or your daughter acting out in school, being smart or fighting, is not a place where police officers should be used as a hammer to put them in line. I just said that. But Jerry, again, John, if you are a law enforcement officer, you should not be in school. And I'm not breaking this down. I'm telling you point blank as a 32-year veteran retired. No officer should be in school as a hammer around kids using criminal justice codes for kids acting out. Okay? That's why the school-to-prison pipeline is overfilling. That's why people do not appreciate law enforcement officers, because when you do my child like that, okay, now I have a different opinion of police officers. So when I go to the meeting and the activists say, we're going to disband this police department because they don't respect our people on the street, they don't respect our kids, they don't respect the people in the community, my vision of that police department is you are correct. So guess what happens? I vote to disband the police department.
And when that child that's been raised with no discipline,
but all kids don't do that,
gun and comes back to that
same
school
and
shoot that school up, and there's nobody there to address it.
There you go again. There you go again, inflating the situation.
I'm not inflating.
You just
how many cases have we had?
You did inflate it.
There you go.
How many cases has that happened?
Where does that happen at? That doesn't happen in these schools where these unruly kids are that we're talking about.
Hold on, wait a minute.
You did inflate it.
Are we specifically talking about specific schools?
We're talking period.
You trying to make one thing another.
Right. You're inflating
See, the kids that are getting tased and arrested more than likely are black kids, and the kids that are shooting up schools are white kids. So you're taking two totally different environments
hold that thought.
and trying to make your case.
Hold that thought. Wait a minute. Everybody, hold that thought right there. Hold that thought. John, hold that thought, John. I want everybody to listen to this, okay? You know, we really been talking about the school to prison pipeline.
Iowa ain't no black school.
But
that's what happened in Iowa.
But it was a black student, and he was arrested by a white police officer. So this is what I'm saying, Saxman, and I'm going to say this to our audience before we get ready to go back. Police officers are not hammers. they should not be in our school system dealing with our kids.
But you say
we must stop that. I know. Wait a minute, Jay. Wait a minute. Hold on, because I'm serious about this. We must stop our law enforcement officers from being in our schools dealing with our kids.
You sit here and say we need a place to do.
I told you stuff need to be in place. But hold that
thought. We don't have anything in place, though.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Down, I'm the next to rule, but I'ma stay on the cool. Remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the just to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today. But yo, that's the way the story goes. So I was told, following the ramble down the yellow brick road. Please believe at the end, ain't no pie to go. Just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets.
You know, in the chat room, that conversation is still going on. And I want to say, people on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, there's a problem with black people so intense of imprisoning their kids and putting their kids down and making their kids always wrong and anything. But I want to say this. I am on that issue of removing police officers from our schools being used as hammers. I have no problem with them being there for school shooters. I have no problem with them there to protect our kids. But I do have a problem with police officers being used because your kid is acting up or cutting class or won't take a bandana off, and then they're being arrested and put into the system. But Tone the Stone, we went so far in that conversation, tell us something good.
Oh, you should have probably let Jay go first so he could capitalize on that passion. But since I'm on the mic, I want to say great show. Thanks everybody out there for listening once again, and I also want to express my my sentiments for a young angel we lost this weekend, Denasia Summers, and I want to send my condolences and all my love and heart to her family. And God bless everybody out there. Same time, same place next week.
Hey, Jay Mack, the man with the passion on the plan right there. Hey, you know what, Jay? I'd have called you John, James, every name on the thing. But you know what? In the chat room in L.A., they going crazy. Michael Wilkins and his class is really going crazy. But, Jay, go ahead and tell us what you're going to do.
I just thank you. I remember Tone, me and him was talking in the shop one day, and I was having some passionate part of the conversation. He said, it's time for you to come on the show.
Hey, and we love to have you with us because you know what? All the people on Facebook Live, you know what? Y'all been passionate. I love y'all following us because the last hour we really had something planned for a relationship hour. But there again, we had some. But our man on the beat, Sax Man.
You know,
you did had a long day, Sax Man. First, you had to come back and talk about the EC thing. Now you talking about the prisoner pipeline. And come on, Sax Man, when you gonna do the right thing?
I mean, the whole time I'm agreeing with you. You know, they shouldn't be there. You beat me up like
I had to beat you up, Sax Man.
I agree with you.
I had to beat you, but I told you today that I was putting my activist hat on, and I told you that we was gonna talk about something that's very serious to us. And I did that panel, and I want to say that when I was on that panel with the police chiefs and them, as being a veteran officer, I had to go in on them just like that also, okay? Because they shouldn't be allowing it to happen, okay? I'm serious about that. They shouldn't allow it. I don't care what the school says. That's what the school get paid tax money for. Sit it up. But they better put a program in it. The police officers should not be doing it. But Saxon, man, go ahead and let me tell you what you're doing.
Go ahead. I'm right
it's
now.
Easy always say, I'm sorry.
Right now, I was hoping for the relationship hour because I had a lot of juicy information.
Well, we get that on. Hey, Facebook Live. I'm your host, Sean L. Thank you for joining us on Stop the Madness. Keep it 100.
Sax, you got enough relationship problems, man.
I took that Viagra for nothing.
Hey, Sax Man. Everybody right there. Facebook Live, we want to thank you. Hey, Sax Man, everybody, hey, we want to thank you for being with us. Next week, we got a big thing coming on. We're going to have some people talking about credit. We may have some more activists or city person coming in from East Cleveland. Hey, Orlando, thank you for joining us up there. Savannah and ATL. Everybody, later.